You ever walk into an airport during Thanksgiving week and feel like the whole building is one giant pressure cooker about to explode? Yeah, that was Austin Liberty International that morning. Crowds everywhere. Families dragging suitcases the size of refrigerators. People yelling into phones. Kids whining for snacks. TSA shouting, "Shoes off, belts off, laptops out." Every 3 seconds. Just chaos. Pure, unfiltered holiday chaos. And right in the middle of all that noise, you've got Officer Cole Maddox, this tall, kinda tired-looking guy who drinks too much gas station coffee, and his K9 partner, Ranger. Now Ranger is the definition of calm. He's the dog they send into high-risk searches because he never panics, never barks unless he means it, never even flinches when alarms go off. He's like a walking Zen garden, with fur, so yeah. When that dog snaps into hunting mode out of nowhere, something's wrong. Seriously wrong. It started with this tiny twitch in Ranger's ears. Just a flick, barely there. Cole didn't notice. He was too busy arguing with a vending machine that stole his dollar. But Ranger felt something, smelled something, and then, bam! His whole body stiffened like he'd just seen the devil himself walk through Terminal E. Cole looked down. "Hey, bud. You good?" Nope. Ranger was not good. Before Cole could blink, Ranger lunged, full force. The kind of yank that feels like the floor just dropped out from under you. Cole stumbled into a luggage cart, apologized to a stranger's suitcase, and tried to regain control. "Ranger! Ranger! Heal! Heal, damn it!" But Ranger didn't hear. Or maybe he just didn't care. Whatever scent just tore through his nose wasn't normal. Wasn't perfume, or sweat, or the ghost of fast food burritos. It was danger. Sharp. Wrong. And Ranger locked onto it like a missile. People started screaming before they even understood why. Someone knocked over a latte. A stroller tipped. A woman yelled, "Is the dog rabid?" Cole snapped back. "He is not rabid. He's a certified K9 officer, ma'am. So maybe calm your voice." He didn't finish, because Ranger suddenly planted his paws and released a growl. Not a warning growl, not a backup growl. This one was deep, raw, a sound that crawled straight into your ribs and squeezed. And then, silence. The entire terminal froze. Even the PA system cut off mid-sentence, like the airport itself held its breath. Then, bang. Alarms, red lights, metal shutters slamming down, TSA radios erupting. "Security breach! Lock it down! Lock it down!" Panic exploded instantly. Some people ducked, some ran. One guy lay flat on the floor, praying in Spanish. And in the middle of the stampede, Ranger kept pulling, dragging Cole toward gate E17 like it was the last lifeboat off a sinking ship. Cole's gloves burned against the leash. "Ranger! Ranger! For the love of, slow down!" But Ranger didn't slow, didn't blink, barely breathed, his head low, muscles coiled, nose cutting the air like a blade. And then Cole saw her, a tiny figure at the edge of the security line. a little girl, messy dark blonde hair, swallowed by a purple jacket 2 sizes too big, hugging a sparkly pink backpack like it was the last safe thing she had. Ava Monroe, 6 years old. The eye of the storm. Cole didn't know her name, didn't know her story, didn't know she'd been alone for almost 40 hours, or what she'd carried across 3 states. All he saw was a terrified child, and his partner losing his damn mind trying to reach her. Ranger barked once, just once, but it shook the air. That bark wasn't anger, wasn't fear. It was a warning, a siren, dressed in fur. People screamed. Someone shouted, "Is it a bomb?" A man yanked his kids behind a pillar. Ava's eyes widened, far too wide for a child her age. She stumbled back, gripping her backpack like a lifeline. Cole felt his stomach drop straight through the floor. "Ranger, what the hell did you just smell?" Ranger didn't look back, didn't waver. He locked on to the girl, like she was both the target and the victim. And that was the moment, the exact second. Cole Maddox knew something was about to change. Not just for him, not just for the airport, but for that little girl, clutching her sparkly pink backpack, like the last piece of hope she had. Everything after that bark? Yeah, nothing would ever be the same again. If Ranger's bark was the spark that lit the fuse, then what happened next? Yeah, that was the explosion nobody was ready for. Because the moment that sound tore through gate E17, little Ava Monroe, this tiny 6-year-old who maybe weighed as much as a bag of dog food, just collapsed, like her knees forgot how to be knees. She fell backward onto the cold tile floor, the kind that always feels like it was stored in a freezer overnight. Her backpack hit first, then her elbows, then her whole body folded around it, like she was trying to disappear inside that sparkly pink fabric. And that's when the crowd turned ugly. Not loud ugly, not violent ugly. Worse, the quiet, poisonous kind of ugly that spreads in whispers and stares. A woman gasped, "Oh my God, what is she holding?" A dad yanked his son back so fast the kid squeaked. Someone muttered, "Move, move, move, go around her. Don't stand near that thing." And then the killer line, "Get away from the girl." The girl, not the kid, not the child. The girl, like she wasn't even human anymore, just a problem lying on the floor. Ava heard every word. It hit her like tiny knives she didn't have the language for. She sucked in a breath, sharp, panicked, the kind that sounds like someone trying to breathe through a straw. Her fingers locked around the straps of her backpack, knuckles turning white, like she thought someone was coming to rip it away. And she whispered, so soft the floor almost swallowed it, Don't take it. Please." But nobody listened. Nobody cared. Adults, grown adults, were backing away from a child like she was radioactive. They pressed against walls, hid behind pillars, staring at her like she was carrying the apocalypse wrapped in glitter. It was heartbreaking and infuriating, and Cole felt something twist, hard, under his ribs. But Ranger reacted first. He moved in front of her. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Just pure instinct. The dog planted himself between Ava and the terrified world. Shoulders stiff, head low, eyes forward. Not threatening her, protecting her, aggressively protecting her. And something about that image, this massive canine shielding a tiny shaking girl, shifted the air. The fear didn't vanish, but it changed shape. Like people suddenly weren't sure who the danger actually was. Cole dropped to his knees beside Ranger, breath unsteady. Okay. Whoa, hold on, he murmured. Ranger, easy, bud. But Ranger didn't look at him, not even for a heartbeat. And then Cole saw her face. Ava lifted her head just enough for her curls to fall from her eyes. And Jesus, those eyes, wide, glassy, terrified in a way no 6-year-old should ever feel. Her breath hitched. Once, twice. Then it shattered. I didn't do anything, she whispered. I promise I didn't do anything wrong. That hit Cole harder than the alarms, because it wasn't defensive. It wasn't angry. It wasn't scared for herself. It was the kind of apology children make when they're used to being blamed for things they never did. And the whispers kept coming. What's she hiding? Why's the dog losing it? She came alone? That's weird. Someone call someone. Ava curled tighter around her backpack, trying to make herself smaller, as if she could vanish into the smallest version of herself. Her shoulders shook, not with loud sobs, but the quiet ones. The kind that sound like giving up. Cole swallowed hard, softened his voice. Hey, sweetheart. It's okay. You're all right. She still flinched, like even gentle words hurt now. But Ranger didn't flinch. He stepped back, just enough for his fur to brush her knee. A silent signal, a promise. I'm here. And Ava looked at him. Really looked. Her lip trembled. He's mad at me, she whispered. That sentence snapped in Cole's chest like a wire pulled too tight. No, Cole said immediately. No, he's not mad at you at all. But she shook her head, curls bouncing. Everyone's scared. Because of me. Cole, this man who'd stared down gang bosses, meth labs, cartel runners, felt his throat burn. Nobody should be scared of you, he whispered. But the truth? People were. Because fear is stupid. Fear makes people forget their humanity. And in that moment, if Ranger hadn't been standing there like a damn fortress, Cole wasn't sure what some of them would have done. Ranger growled suddenly, low, thunder rolling in the distance, aimed at a man stepping too close. The man jumped back so fast, he hit a row of chairs. Cole snapped, "Back up! Everyone stay behind the line. Finally, the crowd stopped closing in. Ava sniffed, eyes still huge. Am I in trouble? Cole looked at her, and at Ranger, solid as a wall, and knew one truth with absolute certainty. No, kid, you're not in trouble. You're the one who needs help. Ranger leaned closer. Ava's breathing steadied. Just a little. And that was the moment Cole understood. This little girl wasn't the threat. She was the target. And whatever Ranger smelled, whatever danger was creeping toward her, it wasn't done yet. And it all started with Cole realizing one simple, awful truth. They couldn't wait anymore. They had to open the backpack. He crouched down slowly, real slowly, like every inch he moved mattered. Ranger stayed glued to Ava's side, muscles tight, tail stiff, nose hovering just inches from the backpack, like he was waiting for something to jump out. Cole swallowed hard. All right. Ava, sweetie, I'm gonna check your bag, okay? Just to make sure you're safe. Ava looked up at him, eyes already glassy with tears. She didn't nod, didn't speak. She just loosened her grip by maybe a millimeter. Cole took that as permission. He slid the bag toward him, careful, like it was a live grenade. And honestly, in that moment, nobody in that terminal would have bet against that theory. The straps scraped the floor with this tiny sound, like a zipper whisper, and the entire crowd flinched. You could practically hear the air go tight. Cole muttered under his breath, "Please don't explode, please don't explode, please don't explode." Not exactly regulation language, but he wasn't trying to impress anybody. He found the bottom seam, the one that felt weirdly thicker earlier. He pulled out his inspection knife, the small, precise one he carried for situations like, actually, no, not like this. Nothing was like this. He slid the blade into the seam. Ava's breath hitched. Ranger tensed. Someone whispered, "Oh God." Cole pushed. Rip. The sound tore through the terminal. Sharp, violent, like fabric screaming. Ava flinched so hard her shoes slid across the tile. Ranger jumped forward half an inch before bracing again. Cole paused. His heart hammered. Then he peeled the fabric back. He expected toys, crayons, snacks, kid stuff. Instead, rows. Perfect symmetrical rows. Thin metallic strips, smooth, cold-looking under the fluorescent lights. Microchips, lots of them. Hidden in pockets sewn beneath a false lining. Too many for anything innocent. Too organized. Too engineered. "What the hell?" Cole whispered. And for a second, he forgot how to breathe. A TSA officer behind him sucked in air like he'd seen a ghost. "Are those navigation chip?" Cole didn't answer. Not at first. His brain was still catching up. He lifted one strip, carefully, like touching a sleeping snake. He turned it toward the light. A tiny sequence of etched codes glinted back. And then, it hit him like a punch. "Jesus Christ," Cole breathed. These are FAA Southwest routing chips. The crowd didn't understand the words, but they understood his face. "What does that mean?" someone yelled. Cole exhaled a shaky breath. "It means somebody built a portable override for Texas airspace." A woman covered her mouth. A man whispered, "You're kidding." Cole shook his head. If these connected to the grid, even for a minute, they could mislead every aircraft in the Southwest corridor. Planes could be sent off course, lost, or worse. The silence that followed was heavy, thick, like grief for something that hadn't happened yet. Ava curled in on herself, tiny knees pulled to her chest. "I didn't put anything bad in there," she whispered. I promise." Cole turned immediately. "Ava, look at me." She did. Barely. "You didn't do anything wrong. Not one thing. Someone used you." A tear slid down her cheek. But why me?" And there it was, the question that stabbed straight through him. He grabbed his telephone. "Radio. Maddox to control. We've got a compromised bag with embedded FAA navigation tech. This is no joke. Repeat. Deliberate breach." Static. Then a trembling voice. "Is the child a threat?" Cole's whole body went hot with anger. "No, she's a victim! The threat is whoever put this in her backpack!" Ranger growled low, agreeing, and for the first time the crowd's fear shifted, not toward Ava, but toward the monster who used a kindergartner as a Trojan horse. Cole zipped the bag, mind spinning. This wasn't random, wasn't a prank, intentional, calculated, deadly. He stood, holding the backpack like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. He looked at Ava, small, shaking, desperate to hear she wasn't bad, and something hardened inside him. Whoever did this, they weren't walking out of Austin. Not today, not ever. And if you were standing there, right there at that station, what would you think at first glance? A trap? A warning? Or something much bigger, lurking just in front of you? Tell me honestly, what does your intuition tell you? Finding those FAA chips inside Ava's backpack felt like someone ripping the floor out from under Cole. Then what happened next? Yeah, that was the moment the ceiling came down, too. Because just as Cole radioed for backup, still kneeling beside a shaking 6-year-old and a K-9 ready to chew through concrete, someone pushed through the crowd. And not gently. People just parted, like she carried some kind of invisible force. A woman, tall, sharp features, dark brown hair pulled into a perfect low bun, a coat expensive enough to have its own insurance policy, and her voice, smooth as honey poured off a warm spoon. "Oh my God, Ava! Sweetheart, there you are. Come here, baby." Cole's head snapped toward her. "Wait. What?" She looked like she'd walked straight out of a Hallmark movie, fake tears shimmering, breath hitching, acting like she'd been searching non-stop. But Ava didn't move, didn't reach, didn't even blink in recognition. In fact, She shrank back. Cole noticed that instantly. The woman didn't. Or maybe she did, and didn't care. She stepped over the security line like she owned the damn airport. "Honey, Mommy's here now. It's okay." Cole rose fast. "Ma'am, stop right there. You're not cleared to approach her." The woman didn't even look at him. Not once. She just kept walking. Ranger's reaction was nuclear. Not a bark. No, this wasn't a bark situation. He exploded. A guttural, feral roar ripped out of him, so violent Cole almost lost his grip on the leash. Ranger lunged so hard his claws scraped sparks off the tile. "Ranger, hey!" Cole yanked back, boots slipping. The woman froze for one heartbeat. Then she smiled. A small, wrong smile. Not motherly, not relieved. Something colder. Like she was trying the expression on, just to see if it fit. "Oh, honey," she cooed, ignoring the ballistic dog trying to eat her limbs. "You must have been so scared without me." Cole stepped between her and Ava. "Ma'am, identify yourself, right now." She blinked, slow, irritated, like explaining basic arithmetic to a toddler. "My name is Marissa Hale. I'm Ava's mother." A lie so bold the air itself seemed to flinch. Ava whispered, tiny, broken, "No, no." But Marissa kept talking, steamrolling. She wandered off at baggage claim. "I've been frantic. This is unacceptable. How did you let—" Cole cut her off like slicing a wire. "Stop talking." She gasped like he'd slapped her. Ranger didn't care. He pulled again, teeth bared, vibrating with pure instinct. And then it happened. The moment everything snapped into place. Marissa darted a hand forward and grabbed Ava's wrist. Not gently. It was quick, forceful, designed to hurt. Ava yelped. A tiny, involuntary cry, sharp with real pain. Ranger lost his mind. He lunged with a sound that felt like thunder had just learned to growl. Deep, roaring, primal. "Hey, enough!" Cole yanked back so hard his shoulder popped. Marissa jerked her hand away, then smiled. A tiny, crooked, razor-thin smile. One that didn't match her eyes at all. Because her eyes? Flat. Emotionless. No panic. No fear. Just calculation. Cole's stomach dropped. "Ma'am, stand with your hands visible. Right now." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "I don't have time for—" A voice boomed from above. "We have clear footage of physical contact. Step back from the child now." A TSA agent pointed at a monitor, displaying everything. The squeeze, the pain, the grimace. And just like that, the hallmark mask flickered. Times 700 memos, not off, but cracked. Just enough for something cold and sharp to peek through. Cole stepped closer. "You're not her mother." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. No denial, no outrage. Just a tiny twitch. One micro-expression. One heartbeat where the truth leaked out through her eyes. Ranger saw it. He lunged again, barking straight into her face, a scream of pure instinct. 3 people cried out. Cole held him back by sheer willpower. Take her, now! 2 TSA officers closed in. Marissa didn't fight, didn't scream, didn't argue. She just lowered her head and smiled again. A cold, eerie curl of her lips that made Cole's blood go cold. No innocent person smiles like that while being detained for grabbing a child. Something much bigger was happening here. Something Ava didn't understand. Something Ranger sensed before anyone else knew a liar was in the room. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Cole realized whoever put those chips in Ava's backpack might not be done yet. They might still be here, watching, waiting. When the fake mother was dragged behind the security line, when Ranger's growls finally faded, when the alarms dimmed into that weird, shaky silence, Ava was still on the cold airport floor, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to keep her whole world from falling apart. Cole crouched again, slow, careful, like approaching a wounded fawn. Ranger stayed pressed against her side, chest rising and falling like he was fighting off ghosts only he could see. "Hey, Ava," Cole said softly. "You're safe now, okay? Nobody's gonna touch you." But she didn't respond, didn't look up, didn't move. Just sat there, tiny, shaking, her breath hiccuping like her lungs were glitching. Then, so quietly, Cole almost missed it, she whispered, "She lied." Cole leaned in. "Who lied, sweetheart?" Ava swallowed. Her voice cracked down the middle. "The lady on the plane." And around them, the same crowd that had whispered bomb. The same people hiding behind pillars, clutching their kids, froze with this collective jolt of shame. A little girl was speaking, explaining, and the truth was uglier than anything they'd guessed. Ava wiped her nose on her sleeve, eyes shining with tears too heavy for her small face. She sat next to me when the seatbelt light was still on," Ava whispered. "She told me I was being good, and she said she had a surprise for me." A few people shifted, uncomfortable, like the truth hurt more than their fear. "She showed me something shiny and said it was candy, special candy, like magic candy." Her chin trembled. "She said I had to keep it secret." Cole's stomach clenched. "And she put something in your backpack?" Ava nodded. "Tiny, fragile." "Uh-huh," she said. "She said if I opened it early it would break, and she'd be sad. She said Mommy told her it was okay." The crowd winced, out loud. The guilt was thick enough to taste. One woman covered her mouth. A man stared at his shoes like the words had punched him. Because suddenly, Ava wasn't a threat. She was just a kid. A scared little kid tricked by someone who knew exactly how to weaponize innocence. Ava sniffed hard, hands tightening on her knees. "I didn't want to be bad," she whispered. I didn't know it wasn't candy. I didn't know it was bad stuff." Her voice cracked so sharply, Ranger's ears pinned back. Cole's throat burned. He lifted her chin gently with one finger. "Ava, look at me." She did. Red eyes, wet and exhausted. "You didn't do anything wrong," he told her. "Not one thing. Someone lied to you. Someone used you. That's not your fault." Ava shook her head violently. "But everyone was scared of me," she choked. "They were all backing away, and I didn't know why. I just wanted to go home." Her words shattered whatever was left of the crowd's bravado. A dad near the window murmured, "Jesus." A teen whispered, "Poor kid." Two TSA agents exchanged looks like they'd just been punched in the gut. Fear is ugly, but shame is heavier. Ava's voice dropped to a fragile breath. "I just want my mom," she whispered. "I didn't mean to make everyone scared. I didn't mean to be bad." That broke Cole, right down the center. "Ava, listen to me," he said, voice thick. "You were never bad. Not for 1 second. You hear me?" Her gaze wavered. "But they were yelling." "That wasn't about you," Cole said. "That was about the thing someone hid in your backpack. About the danger they created. Not you." Ava hesitated, then whispered a sentence that ruins grown men. I thought maybe Mommy wouldn't want me anymore if I messed up." Ranger let out a soft, heartbreakingly gentle whine and nudged her hand. Cole blinked fast. Too fast. "Ava," he whispered, "your mom is looking for you. Right now. I promise you, she wants you more than anything in the whole damn world." A tiny hope flickered in her eyes. Weak, fragile, but there. You think so?" Cole nodded. "Yeah, I do. And she's gonna be here soon." Ava hugged her knees tighter, wanting to believe it, but scared to try. And the crowd? The same crowd that treated her like danger 10 minutes ago. They were quiet, ashamed. Some wiped their faces, some stared at the floor, some couldn't even look at her. Because the truth was out now. Ava wasn't the monster in this story. She was the one who needed saving the most, and it started fast. Like, blink and you miss it fast. Ava was still wiping her cheeks. Cole was still trying to radio sync with command. People were still whispering about the lady on the plane. When Ranger suddenly froze. Not like a normal freeze, like his whole body turned into a loaded spring. Head up, nose twitching, ears forward, sharp enough to look carved. Cole noticed instantly. "Ranger, hey, buddy, what do you smell?" Ranger didn't answer. Not with sound, but with movement. He whipped around so fast the leash cracked tight and nearly ripped Cole's shoulder out of its socket. Cole barely had time to yell, "Whoa, Ranger, no!" before the dog launched himself straight toward the service door leading downstairs. The restricted area. The baggage maze. The metal underbelly of Austin Liberty Airport, where luggage goes to get lost and airport workers go to lose their sanity. Ranger slammed into the metal door so hard it banged against the wall. Cole cursed. God, seriously? What now? But Ranger wasn't listening. Ranger never ignored a command unless the danger was bigger than the rules, and Cole felt that dread instantly. Open the damn door, he shouted at a TSA tech. The tech fumbled, swiped, the lock buzzed, and Ranger blasted through the gap like a meteor made of fur and adrenaline. Ranger, hey, wait! Cole sprinted after him. And just like that, they vanished beneath the airport. The luggage room wasn't a room. It was a monster. Conveyors everywhere, stacked, twisting, hissing, metal belts slithering in every direction. Suitcases slammed into rails. Duffels flew around corners. Crates thudded like heartbeat drums. The noise, insane. A living beast made of steel and travel-stained Samsonite. Cole had to shout just to hear himself. This is insane! Ranger, come here! But Ranger wasn't slowing, not even close. He zigzagged between conveyors, paws clacking on concrete, nose slicing through the air like a radar locked on one deadly frequency. He sniffed a red suitcase. Nothing. A gray roller bag. Nope. A floral hardshell. Close. But no. Then he veered left so hard he skidded. Cole nearly slammed into a support beam. And then Ranger barked. Not the warning bark. Not the stay-back bark. The detection bark. Short. Sharp. Devastating. Show me! Cole yelled over the thunder of machinery. Ranger jammed his nose into a navy suitcase with a cracked handle. This one? Ranger barked again. 3 quick blasts. Confirmation. Cole turned to the staff. Pull it! 2 handlers yanked the bag off the belt. Ranger spun away immediately, hunting something else. Oh, hell no, there's more! Ranger leapt across 2 moving conveyors like he'd trained for the Olympics. Luggage flew, people ducked. Someone yelled, "What kind of dog is that?" Ranger skidded to a stop beside a forest green hiking pack. Another bark, another hit. Are you kidding me? That's 2! They dragged that bag off. But Ranger didn't stay. He bolted again, right onto the lowest conveyor, the one feeding Gate C-12's tunnel. A flight to Phoenix, leaving in 12 minutes. No, 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 Ranger, get off the belt, you can't. But he could, and he did. Ranger dove into the pile of bags headed for the plane, digging, shoving, sniffing like every second was a countdown. Cole shouted up at the control booth, "Shut this belt! Down!" A voice crackled, "We can't stop it. Flights are grounding. We need the belts moving." "The dog is on it! Stop! The belt!" Before anyone could decide whether breaking protocol for a dog was worth it, Ranger made the decision for them. He froze, body rigid, nose locked on a black suitcase with a blue strap. Then, that bark again. The whole room jolted. "Grab it! Get that bag off, right now!" Handlers scrambled, tripping, climbing, pulling, but they got it. One fell off the belt with a thud. He didn't complain. He yelled, "That's 3! Jesus, how many are there? Ranger didn't answer. He was already gone. Sprinting toward the far conveyor, the one feeding international departures. Cole's stomach dropped. Ranger, don't you dare! Too late. Ranger dove into a cluster of bags like a wolf into a snowbank. Suitcases toppled. A cart tipped. Someone screamed. And then Ranger let out one final vicious bark. The fourth bag. The last one. Cole grabbed Ranger's harness, panting so hard his lungs felt like fire. You just saved a whole damn airport. Ranger stood there, chest heaving, eyes burning with instinct, tail stiff like a flag in war. He wasn't proud. He wasn't relieved. He wasn't done. Because whatever he smelled, whatever danger he sensed, it wasn't over. Not even close. Yeah. This was the moment they finally saw the face of the monster behind it all. It happened while Cole was still catching his breath. One hand on Ranger's harness, the other bracing against a railing like he might fall over. TSA techs were scrambling. Radios exploding with chatter. Someone yelling for cyber intel. And then, beep. A sharp, digital ping that sliced through the noise like a razor. "Officer Maddox!" a tech shouted from the control booth. You're gonna want to see this." Cole jogged up the stairs 2 at a time, heart punching the inside of his ribs. "What now?" he huffed. The tech pointed at the live camera feed. At first, Cole didn't process it. Just a normal airport employee, vest, badge, clipboard, walking past gate E17, until she stopped, until she turned her head toward the camera like she felt it watching her. And then she did something that made the whole room go dead quiet. She slipped off her airport ID badge, like peeling off a mask. Underneath was a second lanyard. Flipped backward, black, unmarked. Cole whispered, "No way. That can't be her." The tech swallowed hard. "It is. Selena Voss." Cole's eyebrows shot up. "No. The Selena Voss? The one they call the Viper?" the tech finished. "Yeah, that one." And all the air seemed to vanish from the room. Because the Viper wasn't a hacker wannabe, not a petty smuggler, not a domestic threat. She was a ghost story, a cyber myth, a living nightmare. The woman who breached the Brazilian ATC grid at 18. The woman who disappeared after taking down a private satellite network. The woman Interpol built an entire task force for. And she was here, in Austin, in the airport. Minutes from boarding a plane. Cole didn't think. "Ranger, track!" Ranger launched forward like a bullet with teeth. Cole sprinted after him. They tore through the staff hallway. Doors slamming, boots pounding, alarms screaming back to life like the airport itself was panicking. Ranger barreled ahead, nose locked onto Selena's scent with terrifying precision. She wasn't running at first. She walked fast, confident, steady, purposeful. Then she glanced back, just a flick of her eyes, a tiny curl of her lip, and she started to run. Not clumsy, not panicked, calculated, fluid. trained. Cole shouted, "Stop! Selena Voss, you are detained!" She didn't even bother flipping him off. Ranger closed the gap, fast. But she was ready. She reached into her jacket and tossed something small and black behind her. Cole saw it mid-air. "Oh hell, move!" Whump! A cylinder burst, blasting the hallway with thick, choking fog. Instant blackout, burning eyes, lung-punching smoke. "Ranger!" Cole coughed. "Stay on her!" Ranger didn't cough, didn't hesitate, didn't slow. He dove through the smoke like he was born inside fire. Cole staggered after him, vision swimming. Through the haze, metal shrieked. Something big, something heavy. Then he saw her, barely, shoving her shoulder against a massive industrial cargo container. "No! Don't!" The Viper rammed her full weight into it. The container tipped, slow at first, then faster, then viciously, straight toward Ranger. Cole's heart flatlined. "Ranger, move!" The container crashed down, a half-ton steel guillotine. Everyone at the security feed screamed. But Ranger, God. Ranger was built different. He didn't run. He didn't freeze. He jumped. A blur of fur and muscle, clearing death with barely 0.2 seconds to spare. The container slammed the ground, shaking concrete, ripping a chunk of flooring loose. Ranger landed hard, skidding, claws sparking. Cole's knees almost buckled. "You good?" he yelled. Ranger didn't answer. He launched himself forward again, because the Viper wasn't done. Not even close. She sprinted down the catwalk, shoved through plastic curtain strips, and vanished into the cargo tunnels. Ranger blasted after her. Cole followed, lungs burning, legs screaming, heart jackhammering. "Ranger, don't engage alone!" Too late. The dog found her first. Selena turned, just in time to see 85 pounds of trained fury flying at her. She swung, fast, something metallic flashing in her hand. Ranger twisted mid-air, an impossible, instinctive dodge, and then he slammed into her torso like a battering ram. Her back hit the concrete. Her head smacked the floor. The metallic object skittered away. Ranger stood over her, teeth bared inches from her throat. Growling low, primal, deadly. Selena Voss. The Viper. International cyber criminal, queen of the dark net, was pinned under a dog. Cole arrived just in time to see it. She hissed, "You stupid mutt." Ranger growled harder. Cole grabbed her wrists, cuffed them tight, and read her rights with a voice that shook from adrenaline. "You're done, Selena." She smirked up at him, a sharp, venomous smile. "You think stopping me stops anything?" Cole didn't blink. "No, but it stops you." Ranger pressed a paw harder into her shoulder, locking her in place until backup arrived. And for the first time since she appeared on that screen, the Viper looked afraid. And it didn't happen at the airport. It happened the next morning, inside the courthouse. The Western District Federal Court of Texas was packed. Packed in a way Cole had never seen before. Reporters everywhere, cyber intel analysts, TSA higher-ups, even pilots who'd grounded their planes after the alert yesterday. People weren't talking. They were buzzing. Soft, anxious, electrified whispers floating through the room because everyone knew this wasn't just a case. This was a near collapse of the Southern aviation network. This was a 6-year-old being weaponized. This was the Viper, one of the most wanted cybercriminals in the hemisphere, finally caught. And at 9:12 a.m., the bailiff called out, "All rise." But what happened next wasn't about the judge, because a heartbeat later, Ranger walked in. He entered beside Cole, vest polished, badge straight. But it wasn't the vest. It wasn't the badge. Not even the headlines. It was his presence. The second Ranger stepped past the courtroom doors. The entire room, every bench, every row, every shoulder-to-shoulder cluster stood up. Not politely, not slowly, not because anyone told them to. They rose like soldiers greeting a commander. Cole blinked. Buddy, I think they're here for you." Ranger didn't wag, didn't strut, didn't pretend this was heroic. He just walked. Calm, steady, disciplined. Like a dog who didn't save hundreds of lives yesterday. Just did his job. People wiped their eyes. Someone whispered, "That's him. That's the dog." Another murmured, "God bless that K9." One pilot actually saluted. Judge Rowena Calder, sharp, gray-haired, the kind of judge who could quiet a hurricane, stepped up to the bench. Even she paused when she noticed Ranger. Her voice softened. "This proceeding," she said, "is highly unusual." The courtroom quieted, instantly. "Yesterday," she continued, "an attempt was made to infiltrate the FAA Southwest routing grid. Had this device been activated, it would have triggered mass flight disorientation across Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada." A few gasps. One man cursed under his breath. Judge Calder lifted a thick stack of documents. And the person who recognized the threat, before any software alert, before any human agent, before any checkpoint, she looked at Ranger, was not a specialist. It was a dog. The silence that followed was unreal, heavy, reverent. "I have reviewed the footage," the judge said. "All of it. From the checkpoint, to the baggage conveyors, to the tunnels where Selena Voss was captured." Her hand pressed to the stack of papers. "This dog saved the Southern U.S. aviation network. He saved passengers. He saved crew. He saved the child used as a weapon. He saved countless families from losses we cannot fathom." Someone in the gallery wiped his face. Another whispered, "Good boy." Someone else sniffed loudly. Ranger just sat there. Perfect posture. Calm eyes. Tail barely touching the floor. Judge Calder inhaled. "It is the ruling of this court that K9 Ranger of the Austin Liberty Police K9 Unit is hereby recognized for extraordinary valor, service beyond the call of duty, and preventing a catastrophic aviation collapse." Then, unexpectedly, she stepped down. Judges never do that. She approached Ranger. Ranger, she said softly, you are a hero of the United States. She placed a ceremonial ribbon on his collar. The entire room broke, not cheering, not clapping, but standing, in silence. A silence so heavy, it felt sacred. Cole blinked hard, throat tight. Then, a small, shaky voice from the back. Can I see him? Everyone turned. Ava, holding her mother's hand, eyes wide, chin trembling, but determined. Cole stepped aside. Yeah, kiddo, he whispered. He'd like that. Ava walked toward Ranger like approaching a miracle. She knelt, both hands sinking into his fur. Hi, Ranger, she whispered. Thank you for saving me. Ranger lowered his head and nudged her shoulder, gentle enough to break the room in half. Ava wrapped her arms around his neck. I'm not scared of you anymore, she whispered. Not even a little. Ranger rested his chin on her arm, and for the first time since this nightmare began, the courtroom didn't feel like a place of judgment. It felt like healing. Now tell me honestly, from your gut, if you were sitting in that courtroom, watching a 6-year-old hug the dog who saved her life, what would have hit you hardest? The justice? The reunion? The bravery of Ranger? Or the whole room standing for a K-9 like he was a decorated officer? Tell me, which moment punched you right in the heart? When Ava finished hugging Ranger, when the judge stepped back toward the bench, when the crowd slowly sank into their seats again. Someone else couldn't sit. Someone who hadn't truly breathed since the day her daughter vanished. Grace Monroe, Ava's real mother. She had tried so hard to stay composed, hands clasped tight, jaw trembling, shoulders stiff, like she was holding her entire soul together with duct tape and a prayer. But the second Ava stepped away from Ranger, Grace broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just broke, like a dam giving out. She covered her mouth with both hands and let out a sound that wasn't even a sob. It was something rawer, deeper, like a wound finally releasing pressure. Cole turned gently. Ma'am, you okay? Grace nodded quickly, even though tears were spilling so hard she couldn't see straight. I need to, she choked, pointing at Ranger. I need to thank him. Cole stepped aside instantly. Ranger, still sitting with perfect K-9 posture, turned his head when he heard her footsteps. And there are moments when dogs understand more than any human in the room. He saw the tears, the shaking hands, the way Grace looked at him like she was staring at the one being who kept her world from collapsing. He didn't growl, didn't bark, didn't shift into a defensive stance. He simply lowered his head, inviting her in. Grace dropped to her knees, hard, like she didn't even feel it, and threw her arms around Ranger's neck like someone hugging a lifeline. She held him like she needed him to keep breathing. Oh my God, she sobbed into his fur. Thank you. Thank you for bringing my baby home. Thank you for saving her. Thank you for not giving up on her. Thank you for—" Her voice cracked, too hard to finish. Ranger didn't move. He stood perfectly still, chest pressed into her arms, letting her pour every ounce of fear and relief into that hug. People in the gallery wiped their eyes. Someone whispered, "Oh my God, that's beautiful." Even the judge removed her glasses, pretending to clean them. Grace finally pulled back, cupping Ranger's cheeks with both hands. "You saved my daughter," she whispered. "You saved my whole life." Ranger blinked slowly, leaning his head into her palms. A tiny gesture, but the room felt it like a lightning bolt. Ava stepped forward again, fidgeting with the hem of her little dress. "Mommy," she whispered, tugging Grace's sleeve. Can I tell him something?" Grace nodded, wiping her cheeks. "Of course, baby." Ava walked to Ranger, slower this time, not because she was scared, but because she was trying so hard to be brave. She placed a hand on his neck. I need to say sorry," she whispered, voice wobbly, "for being scared of you that day." Ranger tilted his head, ears lifting just slightly. Ava blinked hard, holding the tears back. I thought you were mad at me," she said. "But you weren't. You were trying to save me. I didn't understand." Her bottom lip shook. And you didn't have to protect me, but you did. Even when I screamed, even when I cried, even when I thought you were gonna bite." She sniffed. "I'm sorry, Ranger. I really am." And Ranger did something no one expected. He lowered himself, all the way down, legs folding, chest to the floor, until his chin rested level with Ava's tiny hands. Then he pushed his muzzle gently against her palm, letting her touch his face, letting her know he understood, letting her know he'd forgiven her long before she ever apologized. The courtroom went silent. Dead, breath held, heart in throat kind of silent. And then, softly, quietly, like something sacred breaking open, people cried. Judges don't cry, officers don't cry, federal agents really don't cry, but that room, yeah, it cried. Because there is nothing more powerful than a child realizing she is safe, and a dog telling her in his own way, "I never blamed you." Ava wrapped both arms around Ranger's head, pressing her cheek to his muzzle. "You're my hero," she whispered. "Forever." Ranger closed his eyes, not because he was tired, but because he accepted it. Grace placed a hand over her heart, watching her daughter reclaim a piece of herself she'd lost in that terminal. Cole exhaled, long, shaken, grateful. And somewhere in the crowd, a voice whispered, "That dog didn't just save her life. He gave her childhood back." The sun hadn't even climbed all the way up yet. The sky was this soft blend of pink and gold, like someone airbrushed the world just to make it gentler for a day. The air outside Austin Liberty Airport was crisp, cold enough to sting your nose, warm enough that you could feel the day trying to be kind again. Ranger stood beside Cole near the service path behind the terminal. Same spot where the plane slept overnight, engines still steaming, lights blinking faintly. Cole rubbed his eyes. Man, I still can't believe yesterday even happened. Ranger glanced up at him with that look, half calm, half ancient, like he had seen the whole world break and rebuild 100 times. Cole sighed. Yeah, I know. Just doing your job, right? Ranger didn't wag, but he leaned closer, brushing Cole's leg in quiet agreement. And then, tiny footsteps. Cole didn't hear them at first. Ranger did. His ears flicked. His head turned. His tail gave one slow sweep along the ground. Cole looked up. Oh, hey, there they are. Ava Monroe came running across the pavement, hair bouncing, jacket zipped to her chin, cheeks flushed from the cold. Grace followed behind her, holding a thermos and a backpack that had definitely seen better days. But Ava wasn't holding the backpack. She was holding something small, something frayed. Pink and silver, threads curling like soft whiskers, a piece of ribbon. The last surviving scrap from the backpack the Viper had tried to turn into a weapon. Ava skidded to a stop in front of Ranger. "Hi, Ranger," she whispered, breath clouding. I brought you something." Ranger stood completely still. Not because Cole asked him to, not because of training, but because he knew. Kids sometimes carry things bigger than themselves, and Ava was carrying a thank you too heavy for words. She held up the torn ribbon. "I saved this," she said, "from the old backpack. It's all that didn't get ripped when the agents took it." Cole stepped closer. Grace placed a hand over her chest. Ava took a shaky breath. "I know it's just a piece, but it's the only part that wasn't bad. The lady put bad things inside the bag. But this piece, this was mine. Mommy sewed it on for me, and I want you to have it now." Ranger lowered his head without being asked. Ava's fingers trembled as she looped the ribbon around the side of his collar, not covering his badge, just resting beside it. The pink-silver fabric fluttered in the cold breeze. Ava tied a tiny knot and stepped back. "There. Now you won't forget me." Cole felt something crack inside him. Grace covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. Ranger didn't move, not an inch. He let Ava tie that ribbon like she was pinning a medal onto a soldier. When she finished, he dipped his head, soft, slow, until his forehead touched her tiny hand. Ava froze, then smiled. Small, fragile, perfect. Grace whispered, "Sweetheart, I don't think that dog could ever forget you." Ava stroked his muzzle. "I just wanted him to have something good from that day. So he remembers the good parts, not just the scary ones." Ranger closed his eyes. And God, it looked like he understood every syllable. Cole cleared his throat, trying to play it cool, failing miserably. "That looks good on him," he said. "Better than half the medals I've seen in my career." Ava giggled, soft, shy, then wrapped her arms around Ranger's thick neck. "Thank you," she whispered, "for saving me, for not leaving me, for coming back to find me again and again." Ranger let out a low, warm huff, the dog version of, "You're welcome." Grace knelt beside her daughter, brushing a curl from her face. "Honey, we have to let them go soon." Ava nodded, hugging Ranger one last time. She stepped back, wiping her eyes with her jacket sleeve. "Bye, Ranger," she whispered. "You be safe, okay? And don't forget me. Ever." Ranger barked one soft note. Not loud, not sharp, just sure. A promise in sound. Ava smiled through her tears. "I knew you'd say that." Grace squeezed Cole's arm. "Take care of him, please." Cole nodded. "Always." Mother and daughter walked away, silhouettes in the morning gold, while Ranger watched until they disappeared behind the terminal doors. Cole rested a hand on Ranger's collar, right beside the ribbon. "You earned that, buddy," he murmured. "Looks like it belongs on you." Ranger leaned into the touch, and the sun rose a little higher. If that tiny silver-pink ribbon felt like the softest ending to a brutal story, then the next morning's sunrise, yeah, that was something else entirely. Like the world finally slowed down long enough for two souls, one two-legged, one four, to catch their breath. Austin's runways at dawn are a different planet. Quiet, wide open, wrapped in that early morning chill that makes everything feel honest. Cole walked beside Ranger across the edge of runway 3 Lima, boots crunching lightly on gravel, breath fogging in little clouds. Ranger paced next to him, matching every step like they'd rehearsed it for years. The sun was just starting to pull itself up over the Texas horizon, this huge, slow, golden wave sliding across the tarmac. The kind of sunrise that doesn't ask for attention, but still steals it. Cole shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. Man, what a week. Actually, forget week. What a freaking lifetime in 48 hours. Ranger glanced up without breaking stride. Cole exhaled a shaky laugh. "I swear, buddy, I've been in this job long enough to think nothing could surprise me anymore. And then you go tear through an airport, chase an international fugitive through a steel maze, save a 6-year-old, and, oh yeah, prevent the Southwest aviation grid from turning into a disaster movie." Ranger didn't react, just walked. Cole nodded like Ranger had actually answered out loud. Yeah, I know. Just doing my job, right?" He slowed, rubbing the back of his neck, something heavy in his voice. "Something hit me yesterday. Hard." Ranger's ears twitched. Cole stopped walking. The runway stretched ahead of them. Long, quiet, edged with orange morning light. Ranger sat beside him, calm, grounded, carrying that older-than-time presence he always seemed to have. Cole crouched down until their eyes met. I gotta tell you something. And I'm probably gonna sound stupid saying it out loud, but whatever. He rested one hand on Ranger's collar, fingers brushing the soft, frayed ribbon Ava tied there yesterday. You didn't just save every person in that airport, Cole whispered. You saved the part of me I thought I'd buried. The wind skimmed softly across the runway. No engines, no noise. Just the morning listening. Cole's voice thinned, raw at the edges. I think I lost myself somewhere along the way. Too many shifts, too many calls, too much crap I couldn't fix. And I started thinking maybe I wasn't the guy who wanted to help people anymore. His breath hitched. Just once. Then you came tearing through that checkpoint like a missile with fur. And you just knew. You knew what was in that bag. You knew that kid was innocent. You knew who the real monster was. Ranger leaned closer. Cole let out a breath that sounded like truth. Watching you reminded me why I ever put on the badge in the first place. He pressed his forehead gently against Ranger's. You didn't just save them, Ranger. You saved the part of me that still gives a damn. The part I thought I'd lost a long time ago. For a second, just one, Ranger didn't move. Then he did what only dogs know how to do in the exact moment humans need it most. He rested his head, slowly, intentionally, against Cole's leg. A quiet answer. A soft, warm weight that said, I know I'm here. I've got you too. Cole closed his eyes, finally letting the breath out. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. The sun broke fully over the horizon, pouring gold across the runway, lighting them both like a scene carved out of hope. Cole stood, brushing his knees. You ready to head back inside? Ranger barked once, gentle, certain. A new day, a clean slate. Both of them walking forward, side by side, toward whatever came next. If the sunrise confession on the runway felt like the moment Cole finally let himself breathe again, then what came after? Yeah. That was the moment the world finally felt right. Not perfect, not fixed, but right. Morning had fully broken across Austin Liberty Airport, warm gold spilling over the concrete like someone pulled the sun a little closer just for them. Workers moved across the tarmac. The first planes of the day hummed awake, and the world began stitching itself back together. But in a quiet corner near the service road, time still moved slower. Grace and Ava walked toward Cole and Ranger, hand in hand, steps small but steady. Ava's hood was up, curls peeking out, cheeks puffed pink from the cold. Grace looked tired in that way only mothers understand, but lighter. Like the weight crushing her chest had finally loosened its grip. Cole nodded gently. Morning. Ava didn't answer with words. She let go of her mother's hand and wrapped both arms around Ranger's neck. Ranger leaned down to meet her halfway, nose brushing her cheek, tail sweeping the ground in one slow, soft arc. Grace whispered, It's okay, baby. Say it however you want. Ava held him for a long moment, breathing into his fur, fingers curling into the thick hair near his collar. Then she stepped back, wiping her nose with her sleeve. I just wanted to say bye. Ranger tilted his head, listening. I'm not scared anymore, she said. Tiny, but brave. You made me feel safe when everything was scary. And I know you're gonna keep making other people safe, too. Her fingers brushed the pink-silver ribbon tied to his collar. So just don't forget me, okay? Ranger answered with one soft bark. Warm, gentle, real. Ava smiled. Small, fragile, perfect. Yeah, I knew you'd say that. Grace stepped forward, eyes rimmed red, but steadier now. Officer Maddox, I don't know how to thank you. Not just for catching that woman, not just for saving the airport. Her voice cracked. But for trusting Ranger, for trusting what he sensed, for trusting that my daughter wasn't a threat. Cole shook his head. You don't owe me anything, ma'am. But Grace stepped closer. I owe you my child's life, and I'll never forget that. She knelt and hugged Ranger again, forehead against his, whispering something only he could hear. Then she rose, took Ava's hand, breathing a long, shaky breath. We should get going. I think we've had enough adrenaline for one lifetime. Ava waved, walking backward. Bye, Ranger. Ranger pressed his nose to her small palm. And then, mother and daughter disappeared through the sliding doors. The air shifted, not emptier, just quieter, calmer. Cole rubbed the back of his neck. Well, guess it's just us now. Ranger looked up, ribbon fluttering softly. Cole squinted toward the sunrise. You know, I used to think I was doing this job alone, just grinding through days until something broke. But now I know better. You're more than a partner. You're the part of me that still believes people are worth fighting for. Ranger nudged Cole's hand. Cole chuckled softly. Yeah, okay. You're right. He rested his hand between Ranger's ears. I'm lucky as hell you're mine. The wind shifted, carrying jet fuel, dew, and new beginnings. The ribbon rustled, glowing, like a tiny medal forged from innocence and survival. Cole straightened. You ready? Ranger barked once, steady, confident. Together they walked, side by side, into the rising light. Two shadows stretching behind them, two silhouettes stepping into a new day. Two survivors moving out of the darkest chapter they'd ever lived. And in that quiet, glowing, almost sacred moment, it felt like the whole world whispered, You made it. Both of you. You made it through the dark. The story began with chaos, with fear, with alarms screaming and lives hanging on thin threads. But it ended here, in the soft hush of sunrise, with hope, with healing, with light. A reminder that even when the world feels like it's collapsing, there are still heroes walking among us, some of them on 4 legs. Now let me ask you, honestly, from your heart, if you were watching Cole and Ranger walk into that Texas sunrise, what would you feel first? A. Relief. B. Gratitude. C. That quiet, overwhelming feeling of hope you can't put into words.